We all rely on farmers and ranchers, but farming is riskier than other businesses out there. Crop insurance helps farmers manage their risk. With crop insurance, farmers put skin in the game by paying premiums and shouldering deductibles. That keeps taxpayers from having to pick up the whole bill every time disaster strikes. Today, about 90% of U.S. farmland is insured, providing $100 billion in protection to more than 130 different kinds of crops. It's a testament to the program's success.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Meet the Lawmaker. I'm Ben Nulley, joined by Representative Tracey Mann, Republican from Kansas, who serves the state's 1st District. Congressman, welcome today. But first, if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure, and Ben, thanks for doing this today. So I grew up on a farm in western Kansas, a town called Quinter, population 800. I was the 5th generation to live in my house. So our family's farmed and fed cattle for the last 100 years. Went to Kansas State University, studied agricultural economics. I served as our state's lieutenant governor and just ran for Congress in the Big First. The district is one of the biggest ag producing districts in the country, and delighted to get to be in Congress.
And you talk about that being one of the biggest top third ag districts in the country. Tell me, I know there's a lot of wheat out there, but what other crops do folks produce?
Yeah, we would be, based on production, we would be top 3 ag districts in the country. We'd be number 1 for beef production. We would be number 1 for wheat. As you mentioned, we would be number 1 for milo or sorghum. We grow a lot of corn, a lot of soybeans, have ethanol plants. The biggest driver of our economy by far is agriculture, and I'm proud to get to be part of the industry.
Now, you have a degree in agricultural economics. How do you hope to use that and have it benefit you with working on the House Agriculture Committee?
Sure. And then, my best class by far was my ag policy class that I got the most out of at K-State. And so, relying on those things, but also a lot of life experiences between, since then. I find there's nothing better than talking to producers, talking to people that are in the field or on the farm, in their feedlot, about what exactly is going on and what are the things that they're looking for and needing to be successful as we feed the country and the world.
As far as looking at other committees you are on, what are some of those, and why did you choose to be on other committees besides agriculture?
Yeah, so I'm on the Ag Committee, which is my biggest priority by far. And the Ag Committee, there were 20 freshmen that were trying to get on 6 spots. So we're delighted to have a spot on the committee. My other committee is Veterans Affairs Committee. I'm a big believer that we should rename it in many ways the Heroes Committee, because if we're not standing up for the heroes that have fought for us, then I think our priorities are wrong as a nation. But being on Ag and being on Veterans Affairs are my 2 committees, and delighted to get to serve.
You do have the Mann Acts that you have introduced. Can you tell me about those and what exactly those entail?
Sure, Ben. I'm very concerned with the Biden administration and all of these executive orders that they've issued. They have made a concerted attempt and effort to bypass Congress. So the Mann Acts, basically there are 6 of them, and they require the administration, before any executive order goes into effect, there needs to be a 30-day notice to Congress, and then 30-day waiting period before it goes into effect. And then 6 months after and annually thereafter, there needs to be a report back to Congress and hence to the American public on what the impacts of those executive orders are. Realizing the first 10 days of the Biden administration, they issued more executive orders than the last 7 presidents in their first 10 days combined. So this is a big problem for the country, horrible precedent, and we're working to try to push back.
In talking about that, it seems like there's a lot of division in Congress these days. How do you plan to, being a new member in Congress, how do you plan to work with folks on the other side of the aisle to actually get things done?
Well, one of the pieces of legislation I put forward was to commemorate National FFA Week here a little while ago. And there were almost 80 members, both parties, that signed on to that resolution. I understand this is not, seismic policy, but it was heartening to see there was bipartisan support for the FFA program and the future of agriculture.
Now, looking at Congress, I guess your district has a lot of some of the few major beef packers in the country. COVID-19 exposed some bottlenecks there, as we saw last year. I guess what kind of needs to be done in the future to prevent this sort of thing from happening again?
Yeah, well, I appreciate, the Trump administration stepped in. They used the Warfare Act to keep those packing plants open. I think that there is an acknowledgement and reminder of the nation of the importance of agriculture, the importance of the food supply chain. I think, many people are reminded of just how vital that is to all of us. In Kansas, the governor has just decided to start focusing back our vaccines that we have on those packing plants. So we managed through it, work through it, and are moving forward.
You talk about vaccines. A lot of folks in rural America seem to be kind of skeptical about this. How do you convince them, or what do you have to say to those folks who may be skeptical about getting the vaccine? And I guess, what are your initial thoughts about that?
If somebody wants to get the vaccine, they should be able to get to it. And if somebody doesn't, they should. It's their own body. They can choose what they want to put in it or not. And that's a decision that they need to make, and to their doctor. There should be no mandatory vaccines. We should not force the vaccine upon anyone. But those who want it, we need to have plenty of doses available for those to receive it.
Last question here. I know Congress can get busy. One of the interesting facts I found about you is that you're fifth generation to live in your family farmhouse that your great-great-grandfather ordered from a Montgomery Ward catalog. Can you talk about that, how that kind of came about, and just living on your family farm now?
Sure. I won the family lottery when I was born into the family that I was born into. Tremendous people, so blessed. That's the house that my folks will go to sleep in tonight. My grandpa grew up in the same room that I did. And one time him and his brothers took a horse upstairs while my great grandma was in town. And so our stairs at our farmhouse have creaked ever since. So I was fortunate, like, many people in agriculture, to grow up with a sense of history, a sense of place, a sense of hard work. That house, one of the windows from that house is actually on the wall in my office as a reminder of home and of the basic values that people in agriculture are living for every day. And we've got to remember, Ben, that agriculture is not just about the industry. It's about a lifestyle and the basic values that are crucial to the country. Those basic values being faith, caring for your neighbor, working hard. Agriculture needs to thrive to keep those basic values alive, because those are central to who we are as Americans.
Well, Congressman, thanks for your time today.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.